Welcome back to the Japan essay. I hope you had fun showing your knowledge yesterday, writing your introduction. So I want you to keep your introduction. I want you to have faith and know that I know you tried your hardest yesterday, and whatever you did is great because it's what you did with your fearless effort. But I'm going to give you an example today of an introduction that you could do just to show you what one could look like. I want you to listen carefully and learn. Again, you don't go back and change your introduction. You just listen and learn. It's really all about learning. Okay, process, not results. Process is what matters. Okay, so yesterday I talked to you about a nice hook. A hook is where you create a scene with descriptive writing, and that scene should be from one of your body paragraphs. So my body paragraphs are going to be about bell making, kabuki theater, and indigo dyed hemp cloth. Yesterday I said paper making. That was a mistake. I forgot. You guys actually learned about paper making. I'm trying to do 3 things that you guys did not learn about. So I'm switching to indigo dyed hemp cloth. All right, so my hook is from my bell making section. And what I do is I do a scene with descriptive writing of 2 sentences. Imagine a clear, deep bell ringing in the forest of mountainous medieval Japan. Everyone in the village on this bright, clear morning knows that it is time to go to the Shinto temple and pray for good fortune. So I have descriptive writing. I try to show that I have knowledge about Shinto, that Japan is mountainous, and then it's in the forest. I do notice 4 keys to good writing that I have clear twice. All right, so I'm going to change the second clear to crisp. All right, and that gives me like a temperature feeling there. All right, so I've got my hook. I'm done with that. I'm going to go on to my background. My background is where I provide essential information about the topic. What is the topic? The topic is isolation and Japanese culture. Okay, so I really want to focus in on what isolation is, all right, and what Japan is. Japan is an island nation in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Korea and China. Now, if I knew how many islands it was, could I put that in there? Could I say hundreds of islands? Or could I say 4 main islands? Yeah, I could. If I knew how many miles it was off the coast of Korea and China, could I put that? If I knew that it was 100 miles off the coast? Yes. These are all things from your notes that if you remembered, you would want to put in there, okay? Next, after that, so I've talked about Japan, how it's an island nation. Now I want to talk about isolation, okay? Because it is surrounded by the sea, it was isolated from other countries. Okay? So now I'm talking about isolation. All right? Other empires, such as the Mongols, were not able to conquer Japan. And so it was left on its own. All right? And if I wanted to provide detail about how the Mongols sailed their ships over and the kamikaze wind destroyed them, again, that's from the notes, you could include that as well. So we've got our background where we provide essential information about the topic. I've talked to you about Japan, I've talked about isolation, and now I want to discuss the impact of isolation. That's where I answer that question in my claim thesis. A claim thesis is a 1-sentence answer to the prompt which indicates your body paragraphs. So I got a lot of really great claim theses from students. They emailed them to me, I read them, I emailed them back, this looks great, or I might give them a suggestion. If you did not email your claim thesis to me, I highly recommend emailing your claim thesis to me today. I will respond to it and make you feel good about your claim thesis or teach you a little bit how to make it better so you'll do better, okay? So for example, one person emailed me this claim thesis right here. This was her claim thesis, and it's a good one. So I just read it and said, that looks great. And so her claim thesis was, isolation of Japan led to a unique culture as shown by origami, samurai, and poetry. So, is it a one-sentence answer to the prompt? Does it tell me about the impact of isolation? Yes. Does it indicate her body paragraphs? Yes. I know she's going to talk about origami, samurai, and poetry. So I could say the isolation of Japan led to a unique culture as shown by, and then I could insert mine, bell making, kabuki theater, and indigo hemp-dyed cloth. Right? Again, I do not want you to change your claim thesis. I want you to keep yours. But if you want to know if it's any good, you can email it to me and I'll respond back to you. Now, I took this and I said, yes, that's a good claim thesis, but I'm going to show you how you could make that claim thesis even prettier. And so if we go down here, you will see that this claim thesis is exactly the same body paragraphs, but look at this claim thesis. This is all one sentence, okay? And so I say, the isolation of Japan, that's the same as there, and then I add more things. Allowed it to control what influences it incorporated because no outside empire ever conquered them. And this led to a unique culture. So there's my unique culture. As evidenced by the popular paper folding art of origami, the intense Bushido ethic of the samurai, and the beautifully original form of poetry known as haiku. So you can compare this claim thesis here and this claim thesis here, and you'll see that what I've done is I've added information that's going to be in this paper all the way through, but just add some more detail, right? So you could control what influences it incorporated. No outside empire ever conquered them. Unique culture as evidenced by popular paper folding art of origami. So I just said a little bit of detail about what origami is. The intense Bushido ethic of the samurai. I said a little bit about what the samurai are. And the beautifully original form of poetry known as haiku. So I provided detail about that. So my first body paragraph is going to be the popular paper folding art of origami. My second body paragraph is going to be about the intense Bushido ethic of the samurai. And my third is going to be about the beautifully original form of poetry known as haiku. So that is not my paper though, because my paper is this one, Bell Making Kabuki Theater and Indigo Dyed Hemp Cloth. So I come up here and I go back to my claim thesis and I say the impact of isolation on Japan led to a unique culture as evidenced by the art forms of bell making, kabuki theater, and indigo dyed hemp cloth. And if I wanted to take this a next level up, I would have included all that other sort of stuff that I just showed you about how to make a claim thesis even more impressive. All right, so I'm happy with my introduction. Now we're ready to go on to our first body paragraph, which is going to be about bell making. So I need to go back and do a little research because this is an essay and it's an open note essay. So I go back and I go, where did I learn about bell making? Well, I learned about bell making in this video, The Living Treasures of Japan. Now you guys actually, I showed you the first 2/3 of it, but I didn't show you the last third of it. And I'm going to use that last third of it for my essay. So I remember that when I watched this, bell making was at the end of the this. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, where was that bell making? I need to watch it. And then I go, oh, okay. Okay, so this is the bell making part. And I watched this whole thing. I learned about this guy again. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, he's making the bell. So I watched this whole thing and maybe I even take notes on that. And then I go back to my essay and I'm all prepared to write my first body paragraph because I have all that information in my head right now. So I say, first of all, one beautiful, so I come up with topic sentence where I introduce that I'm going to talk about bell making. All right, and then after I introduce my topic, so I fill in that blank, then I start to talk about it. So I tell all about the bell making. All right, so this is what I'm doing right here. I tell all about that, everything that I learned. All right, and that shows the teacher that I was paying attention. I learned a lot. And then I talk about, explain how it's unique, right? Because remember, I'm trying to prove that Japan had a really unique culture. How do I explain how it's unique? I compare it to other places. All right, so how is it different than what I'm used to? How is it different to what was going on in other places? How has it led to Japan being unique today? All right, so you do all that, and this should be, probably 8 sentences or so, where you tell about the bell making everything you knew and you explain how it's unique and compared to other places. All right, I look forward to seeing your first body paragraph done today.